What's up guys? Welcome back to another video. A few videos back I did a eat more weigh less video and I asked you guys if you wanted me to show you some of my oil-free cooking hacks, and here we are. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to cook without oil. I'm not going to get into how to bake without oil at this point because, as you know or may not know, I live in a tiny house and I don't even have an oven. It's a sad story, but the second that we build our other house and I get an oven, I'm gonna cook like an infinite amount of muffins. So I'll do that video for you guys when I actually get an oven. But today we are just going to be doing how to cook on the stovetop without oil. And I just want to preface this video and say I'm not a culinary genius. I know you might think I am, but I never went to culinary school. I basically never knew how to cook until I went vegan because I could never cook anything before I was a vegan. I ruined everything. This is just how I have learned to cook without oil because I've never actually cooked anything vegan with oil. So today we are going to be learning how to saute without oil, how to fry, called dry frying, without oil, how to steam foods for those of you that don't know, and also just general cooking like boiling techniques and things like that. So let's start this video. I'm really off today. The main thing that you want to keep in mind when you are cooking without oil is that it's not like cooking with oil, okay? When we cook with oil, we can use much higher temperatures because the food is being saturated in the oil, and it's basically like what is cooking the food throughout it because the oil gets so hot that everything cooks more evenly. When we're cooking without oil, we need lower temperatures and longer cooking times. So that's just what you want to keep in mind. So I'm going to start with sauteing because I feel like that's the biggest thing that people struggle with. And this took me a while to figure out. So if you saute a totally different way, then that's fine. But say for example, I want to saute this onion. What I always do is I put my onion in my pan over low to medium heat, and then I will add in some type of liquid. So a lot of times I don't use water. I'll use just like flavoring. So I'll use soy sauce, coconut aminos, balsamic vinegar, whatever I want to flavor my food with, that's what I'll use as my liquid because it will help bring out the flavor of the onion a lot more. So I put my onion in the pan with a little bit of liquid. I cover it because what we're trying to do when we're sauteing or cooking any food in general is we're essentially burning off the water that's in the food to concentrate the flavor of the food. And by covering it right away, what you're doing is allowing it to cook the whole onion more thoroughly so that the water can be released from it and burned off. So I cover it for about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how much onion I'm using. After 2 or 3 minutes, I take the lid off and I allow all of the moisture to burn off from it. So this is a really important part that I feel like a lot of people don't get because I see a lot of people cooking stuff and it just looks like a soggy mess. And this took me a while to get as well, but you want to take the lid off and start burning the water off. But when you're burning the water off like this, you want to be moving the onions or whatever you're sauteing around quite a bit so that it's not sticking to the pan, because as it's burning off, it's going to create less liquid in the pan and it can start to stick. And I will leave a little information section down below with each of these techniques that I have and just like how to implement them so that you don't have to come back and watch this video every time. You can just copy and paste it into like a notepad on your phone so that when you're cooking in your kitchen, you can just pull it up and be like, okay, low heat, put the lid on, yada, yada, yada. I'll put that below. But that is essentially how I saute anything. If I am sauteing onions, mushrooms, any kind of vegetables, I always put liquid in the pan at first to keep it from sticking, take the lid off after it's warmed up a bit, and then let all of the excess liquid burn off. That's it. It's pretty simple. So the next thing that I want to talk about is dry frying your food. So dry frying is what you would do with like any type of food that's wet. So like pancakes, hash browns, falafels, anything that's like wet and you need to have it cook on one side to where it's, you know, browned, and then flip it and then cook it again. So dry frying, you really need a good nonstick pan. And the pans that I have, I would highly not recommend. People ask me about the pans that I use all the time. If you want to know, they are the New Wave pans, and I have to use these because I have an induction cooktop, and induction cooktops, if you have one, are also terrible for oil-free cooking because it creates like a magnetic seal, which it makes it so much harder because the pan gets so much hotter. But these are nonstick pans, and they do work if I'm like steaming, sauteing, doing small things like that. But if I need to make like a pancake, there's no way it is gonna happen in these pans. So the thing that I have that is my holy grail appliance, if I had to tell you guys to get one appliance, especially if you like pancakes or grilled burritos or paninis or waffles, hash browns, anything like that, I use this appliance for all of those things. It's so versatile. Before I show you this, I just want to say I'm not sponsored by this company whatsoever. I wish. But it is a Griddler by Cuisinart. So the cool thing about this is that I used to have a George Foreman grill, and the reason that I like the Griddler so much better is because it has interchangeable plates. So it comes with plates that are reversible like this. One side is a griddle side, and then one side is a flat side for like pancakes and things like that. I'll use this side to grill burritos, to grill paninis, to grill tofu and all that kind of stuff. And then you can also buy waffle plates for it. So it's definitely just like a very good 5-in-1 griddler thing that I really like because, like I said, we live in a tiny house. We don't have a lot of room, and I can make like so many different types of foods on this thing. But if you have a really good nonstick pan, you don't need something like this. This is only like if you're trying to make pancakes all the time or waffles all the time or hash browns and they're always getting stuck to your pans, you might not have a good enough nonstick pan. And honestly, I haven't even found a really, really, really good nonstick pan. But there are some cooking techniques that you might be doing improperly that will help you a lot. So I would try these first before you go out and start buying things. Definitely don't need something like this, but if you're in the market, highly recommend. So when we are dry frying things, it's kind of the same as sauteing. We want to keep the heat low. For example, before I got the Griddler thing and I would make hash browns in a pan, before like I even knew how to do it, I would, you know, put all the hash browns in a pan, put the lid on, and like cook it on medium heat, and they would all just get stuck and mushy and I'd never be able to flip them. What you want to do, hold on. If you're cooking hash browns in a pan, first of all, you want like a big pan like this. And then you want to just put your hash browns in the bottom of the pan, put it on low to medium heat, do not cover it at all. And you want to let it cook for like 30 to 40 minutes on the first side. Because what you're doing when you're dry frying things is you need it to get crispy on the bottom side before you try and flip it. And it essentially has to cook like all the way through for that to happen. So it takes a long time on the first side, and then once you flip it, you can basically cook it for like 10 or 15 more minutes and then it's done. That's the biggest issue, is people always like use too high of heat. They put a lid on something which is holding in the moisture. That's just gonna make a big mushy mess, or they don't let it cook long enough. So for dry frying tofu that you want to get crispy, or pancakes or hash browns or veggie burgers or anything like that, keep the heat to low to medium. Cook it on the one side until you can kind of lift up the edge and see that it's browned, and then flip it, and then cook it for like half the amount of time that you cooked the original side. If you cook this on a higher heat, even if you have a nonstick pan, what's gonna happen is it's not gonna be cooked in the middle. I've cooked a million pancakes that I've just cooked way too quickly and too high of heat, and flipped them and then ate them and the inside was like totally uncooked. So you don't wanna do that. You wanna keep the heat low to medium and just give it time. And depending on what you're cooking, it's gonna be different, but you're just gonna have to play around with it. But just doing this one little thing is gonna help you so much. So my personal favorite way to cook food is to steam food, because I really like holding in the moisture, and I feel like it just feels so much fresher, and you don't really have to add any flavoring to it. So what I do a lot of times is I'll just steam vegetables, and then I'll put like a little bit of tamari and a little bit of lime juice on top, and it's so good. If you don't know how to steam vegetables, all you do is you take a pan like this. You want to add about 1 inch or 2 of water into the bottom. And then the other thing that you're gonna really need if you want to cook oil free is some type of a metal steamer like this. You can get these at Target, at Walmart, probably at any grocery store as well. And they're just great for steaming whatever you want. Like I use this in pans, I use it in the Instant Pot. It's really versatile. I'll like use it to just strain pasta and stuff after I'm done cooking it. So this comes in incredibly useful when we're steaming foods. So to steam foods, all you do is you put 1 inch or 2 of water into the bottom of a pan, bring that water up to a boil, add in your little steamer thing, put your vegetables, your potatoes, or whatever you're steaming, your tofu on top, and then bring the heat back down to low, put a lid on it, and let it just steam for 10 or 15 minutes. I never really steam anything longer than 15 minutes, and unless it's potatoes or something really dense, but vegetables, you're not gonna need to steam them for a super long time. And I always just usually take a fork and just check and make sure that the vegetables have been cooked and they're nice and tender. The last way to cook things on the stovetop is to boil or just, you know, like generally cook something at like a medium heat. If you're cooking like a curry or beans, or you're cooking a chili or something like that, I mean, it is very possible that these things can burn to the bottom of your pan if you're using improper cooking techniques. I sound like such a like chef, but I'm not. So when you're cooking anything in general, soups, stews, chilies, things like that, the basic technique that you want to remember is bringing everything up to a boil. So you bring it up to a boil, you cover it, you reduce the heat to low or simmer, just like how you would cook rice or quinoa or something like that. And then you keep the lid on. Try not to take the lid off, because every time you take the lid off, you're getting air into the food and it can cause it to stick. Especially if you're cooking brown rice or something like that, never take the lid off. So you keep the lid on, turn it to low or low medium, and then you just want to let it cook until it's ready. So usually I cook things for like 30 minutes. And that's for like any kind of curry, chili, stew, soup. Bubba is once again barking at nothing. But that's a basic technique for just using a normal pan to cook something on the stovetop. And I definitely don't think that you need like a lot of fancy equipment. You don't need super expensive pans. You don't need anything over extravagant to cook like this. You just really have to kind of get the techniques down, get used to cooking at lower heat and for longer times, especially if you're cooking like pancakes and stuff. And just being patient, which I know can be hard, but when you're coming from cooking with oil, like usually you're using a medium to a high heat, because you can cook oil at higher temperatures and cook things a lot quicker. And it's the total opposite. It's the total opposite when you're cooking without oil. I'm gonna link a video down below as well that has some other cooking hacks for you guys. How to use like a toaster to make chips, how to make like oil-free popcorn, and just some other oil-free cooking hacks that I have. So if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check it out below. It's just a really simple cooking hacks video. I know this video isn't like super extravagant, but it's not difficult to do this. And the other thing that I just want to say is when you switch from eating oil all the time and cooking with oil all the time, it's gonna take a little bit of an adjustment period. Like your food might taste a little bit different. But I promise you, like if you just keep with it, oily food will start to taste really bad. Like it'll start to taste just like really oily. And it'll be harder to eat, because like you saw in the Eat More Way Less video, oil is a super fatty condensed food. It has a ton of calories per pound. And food manufacturing companies know this. It's why they add oil, sugar, and salt to foods, is because it's addictive and it makes food taste a lot better. So if you're used to cooking with a lot of oil, your taste buds are gonna take a little bit of time to adjust. But over time, if you just keep sticking with it, they will adjust, and you'll start noticing that the food tastes a lot fresher, it tastes a lot cleaner, because it has like way less calories and less fat, and you'll feel better after eating it. So just stick with it, you will get there. But that is my video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave any video ideas in the box below. I need your guys' ideas. Seriously. I like need to know what videos you guys want to see, other than just like what I ate today and let's go to the gym. So leave any ideas for videos below, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.